I'm Diane Hall with AARP Missouri, and I'd like to welcome you to our third Strength and Balance class, part of AARP Missouri's Moving It Fitness series. This is an 8-week class, which gives us time to really learn the moves. And if this is your first time joining us for the Strength and Balance conditioning class, don't worry. Our instructor will explain as we go along. You'll easily be able to participate. This class is suitable for many levels of fitness. However, you know your own limitations. Please do not try to go beyond what you know is right for you. If you have any concerns, check with your doctor before participating in this or any other AARP fitness offering. AARP Missouri also offers another live class called Forever Fit, and we have links to some past programs like Tai Chi, Zumba, and Movement for Life that you can participate in from the recordings. You can find those links at aarp.org/movingit. All of our programming is created with people 50 plus in mind, but good for anybody at any age, anywhere. To learn more, you can go to the website aarp.org/movingit. Now, AARP realizes that our fitness series like Strength and Balance Conditioning can be a great option for anyone who may not be able to or may not want to attend a traditional fitness class, like a caregiver or for those staying home to reduce their risks during the pandemic. AARP also has other resources for caregivers, up-to-date COVID-19 information and technology information on our website at aarp.org/nearyou. Now, if this is your first time with an AARP fitness class, we're trying out a webinar format instead of a meeting format. So you're already muted, which you probably already figured out, and your cameras are also off. So please use the chat to let us know how you're doing or to ask questions or make comments. Also, if you want to stick around a few minutes after class is over, Tyler will answer your questions about the exercises or specific modifications or anything else, probably. Now, let's get started with Strength and Balance Conditioning. Our instructor will be Tyler Ferguson. Tyler, take it away.
Thank you, Diane. Hi, everybody. Welcome to week number 3. Today, I will be cueing some light hand weights. So if you have some 1, 2, or 3 pound hand weights or some cans of soup or any other thing that you want to MacGyver into a weight, go ahead and plan on using that in your practice. And if you don't have weights today, we can just learn the pattern of the exercise and that'll be fine too. And I will also be cueing the chair today. We won't be doing our weights seated in the chair, but I will cue it. Now, to get started, I'm glad we did that poll because I'm going to go off script a little bit with my plan, but I'm excited to share with you what I have to teach. So a lot of times when we think of the core, or right now, let's do this. Come to standing, arrive into your feet, arrive into your space, into your body, ready to work today. And I want you to think about your core. And I want you to put your hands, I'm not even going to demonstrate. I just want you to put your hands on your core and let one hand be the top of your core and the other hand be the bottom of your core. And nobody can see your camera, so there's no right or wrong answer. So go ahead and do that and feel your core. Just take a moment and feel it. Okay, so if your hands looked something like this, that is our core. So the point that I want to make is our core includes muscles that we associate with our arms and muscles that we associate with our legs. That is the trifecta of our core. So let's talk about how we engage those muscles. First, our glutes are part of our core stabilization. Our glutes, right? So those are often muscles that we cue with our legs. So in order to turn on our glutes, come to standing on the mat. And we've done this before. You've torn the ground apart. So separating the feet energetically, but notice they're not moving on the mat. But if I had a stretchy something under me, it's like I'm trying to stretch the thing under me, feel some muscles come on and maybe in the hips. So if you're doing the tear the ground apart and you're only energetically doing it at the knees, try to involve the hips. So try to tear from up at the hips. And that might help you feel this muscle activation higher up in the legs. Okay, release that, wiggle, wiggle. No, and now crush the ground together. So if I had like a piece of cardboard and I was trying to scrunch the cardboard together, and then feel the muscles that turn on maybe in the inner side of your legs. Again, if you're just activating at the feet or the knees, try to get the whole leg involved in the crushing motion and see if that helps you activate in the hips. Okay, I'm going to take this a step further. We did this in mobility. Now look down at your right foot and pretend like your right foot's on the jar, a lid of a jar, and you're screwing on the jar lid. So you're rotating your right foot, but I want you to rotate the whole leg. So not just the foot, but screw in the whole right leg to your right, clockwise. Now screw in your left leg to the left, counterclockwise. Can you feel your glutes turn on? So that's a nice way to create the muscles that we get from pulling the ground apart and the muscles that we get from crushing the ground together. If we create torque and screw in our legs and our feet into the ground, then we turn our glutes on. That's part one of our core, all right? Part two of our core, that's a ball and socket joint with external rotation. That screwing motion is external rotation. So we can do that in our shoulders, in our arms. So if you lift the shoulders up into the ears, externally rotate and put them down, maybe you felt this muscle called the lat, the Latissimus Dorsi, turn on. So let's try that again. Elevate the shoulders into the ears, externally rotate, and pull the shoulders down. You might feel this muscle turn on. That's your lat muscle. All right, so we associate it with the arms or with the shoulders perhaps, because we can find and engage the lat by moving the scapula up and down, but that lat, that's a core stabilizer. So we have our glutes and our lats that frame the top and the bottom of what we often think of our core, which is all the muscles associated in our torso. So we have deep core fibers, which include the pelvic floor, the transversus abdominis, you can look that up sometime, which is a deep, deep, deep core stabilizer. So let's do this. To engage or access your transversus abdominis, pretend like you're wearing a corset, you know, one that ties up in the back. So pretend like you're wearing that. So the way that you engage it is, you pretend like somebody's tightening it. So the muscles, like a hoop, get tighter around your spine. Now draw your navel to your spine, so that's a little bit more superficial in the core. All right, so there are more muscles associated with the core, the rectus abdominis, the obliques, the spinal extensors in the back. All right, but for today, we'll just say that between the lats and the glutes, we have all this other muscle fiber in the middle. So that's my speech on the core. Come to standing, feet are hips distance apart, lift toes, spread them out nice and wide. Place them down on the mat. One more time, lift and spread the toes. Spread, spread, spread. Inhale in, exhale, put the toes down. Last time, inhale, lift and spread the toes. Keep them lifted, tap the big toe 5 times. So also the muscles that connect to our toes go through our foot into our lower leg, and then lift and spread, tap the pinky toe 5 times, just waking up the muscles of the feet, waking up the stabilizers of the feet. After your 5th tap, lift and separate the toes, press them down on the ground, and then kind of scrunch them up like the toe pads. You're just pressing into the ground and drawing them back to your heel. Notice if you can feel the arch lift. With the arch lifted, can you corkscrew, turn on the glutes, draw the navel to the spine, bring in your TVA, pack the lats. Feel how strong you are right now. So if somebody were to come up and push you, now you're really engaged, so they would have a harder time pushing you over. Release those toes, and let's move up the body into our spine. Hands goes on the hips. Just start to move the pelvis into a little anterior and posterior tilt. So just isolating at the pelvis, not going too far in any direction, just mobilizing and moving the pelvis. And then pause here in a neutral pelvis. So if your pelvis was like a bucket, all right, we don't want to pour water out of the front of the bucket, and we don't want to pour water out of the back of the bucket. So you want to keep your bucket nice and neutral. Hands goes on the hips. Take your hips back 90 degrees. So I'm going back to the back corner of the room. And you might notice you get kind of a deep hip stretch here. Inhale. Exhale, stand tall, squeeze the glutes, find that external rotation. Notice when you squeeze the glutes, the front of the hips open. So you create some space in the hip flexors, and then send the hips back, root in the other direction. So my hips are going back 90 degrees, and then my trunk is pitching forward. I'm coming into a hip hinge. and come out of that. Squeeze the glutes, find that external rotation, that corkscrew in the hips. So if we sit a lot, we can get short in our hip flexors. So by opening up the hips here, we get a little length in the hip flexors, and then sit back. Now we're getting a stretch, hopefully in your deep hip mobilizers or stabilizers, so just hip muscles. And then open up the front of the hips, squeeze the glutes, and send the hips back in the other direction. So the theme of today's class is I want you to feel the muscle groups that we're exercising. All right, come forward, squeeze the glutes, open up the front of the hips, stand tall. Now we're gonna move up the spine to our thoracic spine, which is the section of spine between our rib cage. So think about the spine, put your mind in your spine, bring your hands together, point your fingers, shoot your fingertips forward, but don't let the shoulders come in the ears. So shoulders come down, fingertips shoot forward, and then round your back ribs to the back wall. Drop your chin just enough to look at your thumbs. And what you might notice is your scapula is moving away or moving to the lateral sides of your body. So you're opening up, stretching your middle back. Now the opposite move here, separate the hands, lift the heart, bring your scapula together. So maybe you could pretend like somebody's putting a pencil in the middle of your back and you're trying to squeeze it and hold it with your shoulder blades or your scapula. Your eye gaze is lifted a little bit, your throat is lifted. And then the opposite pose, exhale, shoot, and round. So you're pushing your fingertips forward while you're also lowering the shoulders out of the ears, opening up the middle of your back. Inhale here. Exhale, chest expansion, open up. Notice if you're leaking elbows at the wrists, leaking energy at the wrists or the elbows. Try to keep that full fascial tension. So my hands are open and I'm getting a stretch in my pecs, getting a stretch in my front line of the body. And then last time, shooting around. Pack the shoulders, separate the shoulder blades, and then chest expansion. Open up your chest, open up your fingers, stretch the front line of the body. And bring your hands to, let's just drive our swords down in the ground, lift the left earlobe. So the right ear works its way down to the shoulder. And then chin down, switch, bend the knees a little bit, lift your right earlobe, left earlobe works its way down to the shoulder. So you're creating space now, we're working the cervical spine. So we did lumbar spine, thoracic spine, now we're in our cervical spine. Chin down, switch, left earlobe pulls up. Inhale. Exhale, chin down, switch. Right earlobe pulls up. Inhale, chin down, and come to center. Elevate the arms, and we're gonna lift the right shoulder blade up, rotate it internally, big twist, and then look over the opposite arm, unscrew it out, and do it on the other side. Lift, internal rotation, look over the opposite arm. You'll notice you'll get a stretch in the neck as you look over that opposite arm. Unscrew, one more time. Elevate, screw internally, look, separate, reach the arms apart. Inhale, exhale, and then lift, elevate, internal rotation, and reach in the shoulders. Last drill, thumb is forward, fist is towards the body. Doing a circle, bring your thumb up overhead. When you can't go back any further, don't come to your knees now. You're gonna take your thumb towards your head, towards the midline, and continue with the circle. Continue pointing the thumb back and down. Continue pointing the thumb back and down until you reach your back side of the wrist to the side of your body with your thumb out. So we'll start, thumb forward, reach up. Pause when you can't go anymore, rotate the thumb to the back of the head, keep rotating and bringing your shoulder around. One more time, shoulder circles. So take the steps, take the moments to break this activity down, switch sides, and then also, I want you to know you never feel pain, never force any of these movements. So just move within your safe range of motion in your arm circles. And then if you have a rotator cuff injury preventing you from moving your arm overhead, of course, you would eliminate this circle from your practice, or you would just work in a range that works for you. Yeah, so you can just work it right in that range. So 3 circles in the arms. Bring your elbows in and out. Let's just hydrate the elbows a little bit. I'm getting a little lost on time because we did that core activation drill, but that's okay. Hopefully we learned something. Pause, bicep curl, punch, and out. So just hydrating the elbow tissues here today. We're going to do a little weight with pressing the weights overhead with some weight. So I just want to hydrate and prepare the elbows. All right, guys. Bam, bam, bam. That's it. Let's move into our exercises today. I have 6. The last 2 weeks we worked on our squat. We talked about our order of operation in our squat. We talked about tearing the ground apart. So hopefully that's been informative to you and you can use that squat in your workouts. We're going to change up the squat this week. We're going to get a little bit wider, taking our feet about as wide as our shoulders. Yep, you can place your hands on your hips here and then turn the toes a little bit into turnout. Bringing your hands into prayer, now you're going to come to a sumo squat. So as the pelvis lowers to the floor, I'm pulling my knees to my pinky toe and then pressing through my heels back up. When I press back up to the heels, do this with me. I squeeze the glutes at the top, lift and lengthen through the spine. From the side, notice when I lower my seat down, I'm not pitching in my trunk at all. In other words, I'm not hinging to go down into the squat. I'm trying to remain upright, shoulders over hips as I move into the squat. Guess what it takes to keep the shoulders over hips? It takes core activation. So are we doing a leg drill or are we doing a core drill? We're doing it all. Every single exercise, we're incorporating all of the things that you wanted to incorporate today. How are you engaging your arms? Because when your hands are at prayer, your shoulders are in pack and your lats are engaged. So a couple more times, inhale, lower, exhale, press up. You can breathe however you want. You can exhale here, exhale here, exhale here, inhale, exhale here. All right, to exit this exercise, toe, heel, your feet in. Try to avoid stepping onto one leg and bring it in. That's just the safest way to exit that exercise. Okay, for our shoulder exercise, which last week we did stories, claps. So we kept it weightless. Remember our claps? So if you don't have weights today, you can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to bring in a shoulder matrix for you. If you have some weights, hold them in a hammer grip so that your thumb is to the front, your pinky fingers are to the back, your palm is to your body, and the back of your hand is away. And then curl both weights so that the weight touches the top of your shoulders. So that's your start position when we begin this exercise. Feet are hips distance apart. Guess what? It seems like a shoulder exercise or an arm exercise because we have weights in our hands, but if you can corkscrew your hips and engage your glutes, draw your navel to your spine, now we got legs and we got core. The exercise works like this. Overhead press, overhead press. Now we're going to come cross body and punch. Notice my palm is down, the top of my hand is up to the ceiling. Come to our start position, cross body punch. Notice my hand is level with my shoulder. For those of you that don't want to reach over head is level with shoulder. Third exercise, I go out to a Y, my palm is up. I go out to a Y, my palm is up. Back to the start position. Punch the knuckles overhead, extension overhead, right and then left. Punch the knuckles overhead. Cross body, palm is down, hand is level with the shoulder. Cross body. Start to connect your breath. Y position, palm is up. Y position, palm is up. All right, that's our second exercise. If you have any pain with this exercise, reduce the amount of weight you're using. Don't use any weight at all, or go to last week's stories claps. By bringing your navel to your spine, you're keeping your core engaged, keeping you stable as you move through these movements, and then engaging the glutes to keep the hips stable. For the lower body. Third exercise, coming to your chair. We did sit-ups from the chair the last 2 weeks. Now we're going to change it ever so slightly. And you're going to have to adjust. So this is where I really want you to put your mind in your core. So I'm going to have you draw your navel to your spine. Turn on that transverse abdominis. So imagine that hoop tightening up in the front, and then find your ribs and pull them together and sit up a little bit with that front line engaged. So notice if you're using your low back. Instead, try to find navel to spine, front line. You're going to sit up just a little bit and hover your back off the chair. Arms are going to extend out in front, and then extend the legs just a little bit with the heels lifted up off the ground. I don't know if you can see that in my screen, but my heels are up off the ground. They're not on the ground. So you'll notice with the heels lifted, that makes you use the core even more. You can stay right here, or you can lift one leg and tap toes, lift the other leg, tap toes. Keep the heels elevated. Lift and tap, lift and tap. Now, as you're doing this work, keep drawing navel to spine. Keep bringing that corset tighter and tighter, and stay in touch with the front part of your body. Almost like you're hollowing out this front part of the body as you do this work. Keeping the work in the front, in your core, not in your lower back. So those foot taps in the chair, that's our chair exercise. Okay, for our balance pose today, last week we did our chair pose with the taps in all the directions. We're going to do something quite similar today. This time though, come to your chair pose. You can bring your hands into prayer to find stability. Shift your weight onto one leg. And you can bring your other leg to your toe. So that toe touching the ground can always be a kickstand. Or you can begin to hover that foot. So you have some options. Toe can be down. Foot can hover. And if you're feeling really, really great around your balance, foot can hover. You can stand tall into single leg Tadasana. So we have 60 seconds, 30 seconds on each side for this exercise. So you're standing tall, single leg balance. Then you're going to sit back down in your chair, switch legs. So take a moment to switch here. Put the weight in the other leg. Remember when we spread the toes and grip the ground, right? And we engaged, you can feel that whole chain engaged. See what you can do here. Also in single leg balance, create a little corkscrew. Turn on that glute, right? So come to your single toe balance. Option to hover the foot. Option to stand nice and tall in your single leg Tadasana. So this will be a more static exercise when we get the timer going. Hopefully that makes sense to you. 2 more exercises. Last week, we worked on our split stance exercise with rotation. This week, we are going to continue to work on our split stance exercise, but we're going to get into a bit of a lunge. So you might use your chair, step your right foot back, and then try to distribute the weight evenly between both feet. Now what happens is, in order to feel balanced, people often put their heel down. They get more surface area on the ground to feel balanced. What I would like to encourage you to do is, when you do that, your hips are sort of at a 45-degree angle. I want to encourage you to lift the heel and try to peel it up over the toes so the hips are oriented forward. Squeeze, 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 firm that glute. Put your mind in your glute. Draw your navel to your spine. Use that to keep the shoulders over the hips. And then you can play with taking one hand off the chair, right? So here you might just feel a nice hip flexor stretch. Maybe you take 2 hands off the chair, working on your balance, working on keeping that heel lifted over the toes and using the glute to keep it lifted, all right? If you want to take this exercise another level, you can bend the back knee, coming into a lunge. Notice, I'm not putting my weight over the front knee and bending the front knee, keeping my weight over the back, and I can bend the back knee, come into a lunge, squeeze the glute, come into a lunge, squeeze the glute. I cannot maintain my balance here if I'm not using my core. I gotta draw my navel to my spine to keep the trunk elongated, to keep the shoulders over the hips. Switch legs, right foot comes forward, left foot comes back. Notice the tendency to want to put the heel down. So if you're a person who likes to put the heel down, peel it up and just work on creating that ankle awareness, proprioception, strengthen the ankle, firm the glute. Notice I have a slight bend in this front knee. And then just work on your balance using the activation, pressing your back toes into the ground, firming the glute, then drawing navel to the spine. Lats can be engaged here, all three players of the core. Maybe you're static in this exercise here. Perhaps you want to lower the back knee just a little bit, make this exercise more dynamic. So even though my front knee is bending a little bit, what I really want to do is bend the back knee. That's what's driving this exercise. It's the back glute, the posterior chain, the back knee driving this exercise. I can hold on for balance, or I can take my hands off the chair for balance. All right, it is 11:30. We're getting close. I know I tried to add a lot. We're going to do one more thing. Come like this with me. Arms are out. Good. Pretend like you have a metal bar in your hand, and you're going to bend it into a horseshoe. All right? So pretend we're acting. We're on stage. Ready? Bend the metal bar. Okay, pause. Notice how our elbows are in, and then notice, did you feel your lats turn on here? That's the feeling of your lats turning on. Now we're going to take this, and my little T-Rex arms, we're going to take this to our wall or to our chair, press into the wall, step back, and then we're going to lower into the wall. But we're trying to lower really, really with our lats engaged. I'll get a little further away. T-Rex arms, lats are engaged, hands go on the wall, step back, press away, and then lower into the wall. That's our press-ups, or our push-up series. Drawing navel to the spine. Or if you really want to, and your chair feels super secure, it's not going to slide on the ground, it's pressed up against a table or a wall or a couch, find that activation, and you can step on the chair. Notice my shoulders are over my wrists if I'm on the chair. I don't have my shoulders back behind my wrists, shoulders over the wrists, and I'm just lowering a little bit, just a few inches. All right, push it back, stand up tall, circle sweep. A lot of information, 60 seconds of work today. Next week we'll go into 90 seconds because you've learned the exercises. Let's get the timer. We'll do our first exercise. It's the Sumo Squat. Take your legs wide, turn your toes out, firm and engage your glutes, draw your navel to your spine, and, sorry, I usually test the bell. My apologies. Let's begin our Sumo Squat. Okay, so put your mind in your work. Draw your navel to your spine. Keep the shoulders stacked over the hips. Only go as low as it feels safe to you. As you lower down, keep pulling your knees out to your piggy toes. So you're feeling the stretch in the inner thighs. We're halfway done with the work. As you press up, find your heels, push to the heels, connect the heels to the glutes. Squeeze the glutes at the top. So notice when you squeeze the glutes at the top, you got to tear and pull the knees open. Press up, squeeze the glutes at the top, tear and pull the knees open. Press up and squeeze, connecting all this work to your breath. Pause and rest, toe heel your feet in. And then pick up your weights in a spine intelligent way. So don't just bend over and get them. Pick up your weights in a spine intelligent way. Reestablish your posture. Corkscrew your hips. Bring your weights to your shoulders. Ready for your shoulder press. I had you do this a little soon. 5 more seconds. And then we'll begin pressing overhead. Knuckles to the sky. Other arm, knuckles to the sky. Coming across the body here, knuckles across the body, palm down, arm is even with the shoulder. Out to a Y, palm is up. Out to a Y, palm is up. Back to our original. Knuckles to the sky and down, press knuckle to the sky. Now keep doing this with me. Now draw your navel to your spine. Good. Good. Can you find that external rotation in your hips and feel your glutes turn on while you're doing this work? Keep drawing your navel to your spine. Now this is a leg and core exercise in addition to the work that we're getting in the deltoids in our shoulders. So it's a full body functional exercise. 3, 2, and 1. and release. Set your weights down in a spine intelligent way. Grab your chair. Have a seat in your chair. We haven't talked about recovery breath too much. Take a long inhale. Pause. Exhale it out. That'll stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, find core engagement. Sit up just a little bit in your chair. So my back isn't touching. Walk the feet out and then begin lifting and lowering toes. Now, if you need a little bit more stability in this exercise, just put your arms down and hold onto the chair. If you want a little bit more work, a little bit more engagement, lift the arms out. If you still want more engagement, you can scoot forward and lean back more. All right? So remember, your legs are your levers. If you need less work here, bring your legs in more, shorten your levers. That was 30 seconds. Put your mind in your navel, draw it to your spine, feel the line, the front line of the body contracting. And then if this is too much, just pause, just sit here. Just continue to contract the front line. And if you need to rest and put your back in the back of the chair and continue with your tabs that way, go ahead and do that. Lots of variations for this core exercise. Release your arms down, scoot your hips back, then bring your trunk forward, come to standing. Take an inhale in, exhale it out. So hopefully you can feel your core working there and not working from your back. We're going to work on our balance pose. Come into your chair pose. Hands come to prayer. Heels are on the ground. Shifting the weight into one leg. And then playing with where you want to be on that one leg. Does the toe touch the ground? Does the balancing leg hover? Do you choose to stand into full standing? We haven't talked about your drishti or your eye gaze much in balance, but it's important that you're not looking at me in the screen or something that's moving, but looking beyond the screen or below the screen at the floor or the wall or something that's not moving. Go ahead and place that leg down. Reestablish your chair pose. Navel to core or navel to spine. Lift the other leg, peel up, keeping the toe down, just working on your balance here. Lifting and hovering, working on the balance here. Or if you want to straighten out and stand tall in your single leg, you can make it more complicated by going back into chair pose and standing up again. A single leg squat. And pause. Put the left foot down. Inhale. Pause. Dangle the arms. Exhale. Let it go. All right. This is our high crescent lunge, our split stance exercise, bringing awareness into the back glute and being able to elevate and bring the heel over the back toes. Let's step the right foot back into our split stance. Notice the need to put the heel down. Lift the heel up. Hips and shoulders are facing forward. Peel the heel up as high as you can and turn on firm the glute. And then allow there to be a soft bend in the front knee. Option here to play with your balance, lifting one or both arms, and then just playing with the weight distribution in both feet. Feeling the weight distributed evenly in the left and the right foot, drawing navel to spine, keeping the shoulders over the hips. If you want to move it into a lunge, lowering back heel. That was our back knee. That was our 30 seconds. So step forward and switch it. We'll get those lunges next round if you want to do that. Find activation. Take the time to set yourself up in the exercise. So the more times you set yourself up, the more times that goes into muscle memory, and you can eventually get right into your lunges if you want to get into your lunges. But the static hold, working on engagement, just to find that muscle activation can work. That was the buzzer. Let's inhale it in. Pause. Relax. Let it go. And then we're going to move to push-ups for our final one. I'm going to come over to wall push-ups here. Let's find our activation. Let's bend the metal bar. Feel the lats turn on. And then place your hands where your elbows are sort of over your wrists if that's not too much flexion. Step back, your heels can be lifted, and then press away, lower down. Press away, lower down, or you can just hold and find a static plank here. If you're holding and finding your static plank, pack your shoulders down your body, draw your navel to your spine, turn on your glutes, maybe press away, maybe lower down, finding your plank. Halfway there, make sure you're breathing, 30 seconds in. So you could just do a random push-up and then hold in this low plank. So this is like a Chaturanga Prep. I'll show you here. So I've lowered so that my ribs are hanging right out of my triceps. So I can push away and then lower ribs right into triceps. Keep breathing. 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2. I can't count. I know what that means though. Press back and put your weight into your heels. That completes our first round of exercise. Circle sweep the arms up, reach overhead. Bring your hand down, find your pulse. Count now. And stop. Okay. The reason I had you count your pulse was we're going to do that round of exercise again, but we're going to reduce the recovery time. So we were taking 20 seconds of recovery time today. The first round, we're going to do the exact same thing, 60 seconds, but we're going to take 15 seconds of recovery. So we'll see what that does with the heart rate. The other thing is if for those bilateral exercises, if you started with the right leg back or started with weight on your right leg, try to switch this round and start everything on the opposite side of the body. First one, sumo squat. Let's take your legs to a wide stance. Let me get my little timer with 15 seconds of recovery. There we go. Turning the toes out, drawing the navel in. And I failed to mention, but if you want to just grab a weight really quickly, you got a 3 or 5 pound weight there. You can begin to press the weight away as you move into your squat. Don't complicate it though. Unless you've done a million sumo squats and you need more from this workout, if you need more, you can add weight in, but don't complicate it if there's a lot going on with pulling the knees to the toes while keeping the navel in the spine, while keeping the shoulders over the hips, while connecting to your heels and pushing through the heels and feeling the relationship between activating the heels and the glutes. Feel that connection as you push up. Feel every time, push through the heels, squeeze the glutes at the top. Continue to breathe, however you want to breathe. And there we go. We get a rest. Toe heel the feet in to come to your rest. Inhale in. Pause. And exhale. Pick up your other weight. Activate the glutes, soft bend in the knees. Draw the navel to the spine. So maybe we're multitasking here as we get into the exercise rather quickly. Good. But that muscle memory, if we continue to practice, we can arrive there more quickly. So if every time we come to this neutral stance that we're in for this exercise, we can get used to finding the micro bend in the knee, the external rotation, feel the glutes turn on, feel the navel pull back to the spine, boom, then we're set to go and we're ready to work the rest of our body. Now remember, arm injuries, no weights, you can do stories claps, the exercises that we did last week. It goes without saying that even though we're focused on the arms here with a little bit of weight, we're still, just by standing here and activating and moving through the arms, we can still find other places in the body. Let's take a long inhale. Exhale. Find your chair. Get set up. We're going to go right into those chair pose taps with marches. Take your time. You heard the bell. Get yourself set up though. Core. Use your core. And then lifting opposite legs. So remember, there's a ton of options here, right? You can rest You can rest your back in the chair. That's an option. Or you can sit up a little bit more away from the chair. It's going to take more work, right? You can shorten your levers, right? That's a little bit less work. If you want more work, you can lengthen your levers. Yeah? Hands can go down for support. Hands can go up for support. So it's up to you how to change it. But the whole time, I want you to draw the navel to the spine, keep contracting these muscles on the front body. You're trying to create what's called a hollow body. So think about hollowing out and carving that out. So maybe get a little cashewy in your tailbone if you've been with me for mobility, and you can cashew your tail and kind of cave in your chest and squeeze it all to the midline. Good. Come up to seated. Inhale. Exhale. Come up to standing. We're going to go single leg Tadasana. This time I'm going to put the weight on the left leg in chair pose. Good. Peeling it up and then taking whatever option works for you. Again, taking your eyes off the screen is important here. Finding your drishti or your gazing point, working for 30 seconds. If you're really going for this single leg Tadasana and you lose it, just take time to get back in your chair pose, back to shifting the weight into one leg, and really work in the place where you're going to have success. So I'm trying to give people options to elevate the exercise, and let's switch sides here. Take your time. Ground in the right leg. Peel up the left heel. Shift the weight. Engage the core. Pack the shoulders. So I really want you to work where you're going to have success. If you're falling all over the place trying to stand tall in your single leg Tadasana, think about just hovering and finding and gaining your balance and stability there. Take your mind into your core and notice how a strong, active core and release can inform your balance. How it starts with this proximal engagement. Left leg goes back. We're going to work on that split stance exercise. For those of you that are just working on peeling up and finding activation in the glute, you can stay there. For those of you that want to try the lunge, come with me and try the lunge. If you're having a hard time keeping your heel lifted, it's probably not time to do the lunge. If keeping this heel lifted and feeling that back glute engage is your jam and you can feel it, then you can start lowering this back knee. What I'm trying to encourage you to do is wake up this back rear glute and put the work back there, trying to give this front knee a break. Step your left foot forward, step your right foot back, set it up. Notice if you're pitched forward, okay? That's a problem with the core. Draw the navel in, pull the shoulders over the hips, and then lower and lift here. Pretend like you're on a carousel, a horse carousel. Now what's common in these lunges is for the front leg to do the work and for the knee to get kind of worn out. Put the work in your big muscle in the back rather than your joint in the front. Step your back foot forward, come to standing. Last round of exercise, which is our wall push-ups or chair push-ups. I'll demonstrate them from the chair. Engage the lats. Bring your hands down to the chair or the wall. You can hang out and find your plank. By the way, taking the legs wide, the feet wide here, creates a strong base of support. So it's okay to take your feet wide, whether you're on a chair or the wall. Notice my shoulders are right above my hips here. I'm drawing my navel to my spine. If I want to move into a push-up, I just lower a little bit. You don't have to lower all the way to the ground like a traditional push-up if your hands are wide, like in the gym. Just have a little lowering down. Maybe you lower and pause. Notice if the shoulders are gliding down the back. Can you feel your lats turn on? Keep drawing navel to the spine. Firm your glutes. Hug your quads to the bone. So hug your quad muscles right to the bones. Lift your kneecaps. Notice my heels are elevated right over my toes. If you need to come out of it, come out of it. No pain is allowed, right? Only what's good for your body. Listen, this is how we're going to exit. Press back into our feet. Come to standing, circle sweep, arms up. Bring your hands to prayer. Balance it out. Find, did I do everything? I think I did. I don't know. Shoulder, oh, did I forget shoulder matrix? No. Maybe I got it all. Okay. Cheyenne, you can chat if I forgot it all. I still have another round left, so I feel like I forgot something. Otherwise, let's find our pulse. We'll take our pulse here. And ready, and start. Stop. So if your pulse, your heart rate changed between the two exercises, maybe you took the higher activation level of that exercise, or perhaps just the reduced amount of time for recovery made an influence on your workout. Let's just cool it down a second. Circle sweep the arms up, bring and reach overhead, bring your hands to prayer. And then slide your right arm across, grab behind your elbow joint, pack your shoulder, give your arm a nice stretch across the body. Try not to press right on the joint. Maybe you come in front of the joint, pull your arm across the body, just try and let the shoulder come up into the ear, and then pull your other arm across the body, shoulder down and out of the ear. And then maybe figure out where to grab it, where it feels best to you. Try to keep everything else square. Then we'll open up our shoulders in the back, just reach back behind, grab a bind, start to lift the heart, let the heart shine, and bring the shoulders back toward one another. Feel the shoulder blades come together. And then maybe start to lengthen the hands down to the floor, but that's not as important as opening up, broadening the chest, bringing the shoulders back. Keep breathing here. Good. And release the arms. Just stand and let the arms flap against your body. So let the weight, feel the weight of the wrists tugging at the shoulder joint. Just allow that circular movement with the weight at the end of the lever. Just give your tissues in the shoulder joint a little bit of a tug, a little bit of a pull, creating some elongation or elasticity. And then we will come to a close. Coming to standing, it is a pleasure and an honor to share this balance and strength conditioning work with you. Thank you for joining me today.